Is balance even possible? In today's fast paced lifestyle with constant responsibilities and distractions vying for our attention, it can be difficult to achieve work life balance or even know what that means or what that looks like. In this podcast episode, I'll be discussing the consequences of not having balance in your life and what you need to know in order to have improved balance. This is episode number 98. A balanced life starts with knowing this. Welcome to Calmly Coping. My name is Tati, and I am a licensed therapist and coach specializing in high functioning anxiety. I help high achievers overcome stress, anxiety, and overwhelm so they can finally stop overthinking everything. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right. First, let's talk about the consequences of not having work life balance. And I did a lot of research and got a lot of awesome, maybe not so awesome statistics to help you to really understand what not having a work life balance can result in. Employees who don't have a work life balance tend to burn out more quickly than those with a balanced schedule. But those with a healthy balance have more motivation and are more productive at work. One study found that people who worked 55 hours or more per week have a 1.3 time higher risk of stroke compared to those who work the standard 40-hour work week. Heightened stress combined with longer physical inactivity were cited as the main two reasons for this. So working longer hours literally has a negative impact on your physical health. Another statistic is that employees that endure medium to high stress cost companies 26% more in medical costs compared to those with lower stress levels. The average worker is only productive for 2 hours and 53 minutes in a working day, meaning that when you're working 8-hour shifts, many of those hours aren't spent productively because we are working longer hours, then our focus is being spread out throughout the day, thus resulting in more inattention and less moments where you're able to spend doing productive and focused work. And not to mention all of the distractions we experience, like constant emails or chat messages or the expectation to constantly be available and respond. That can be very emotionally and mentally taxing. Another statistic, which isn't a surprising one, is that 40% of US workers now prefer a 4-day work week, which has been found to reduce stress, improve work-life balance, and actually increased productivity based on a large Iceland trial. And there's also studies, I believe, in the UK that also demonstrate this. Now, you may not necessarily have the choice to change your schedule to a 4-day work week. However, I think this just supports the idea and the fact that when we have more intentional time working and shorter time working, we're able to be more productive and efficient with our time. And another study found that people who often work long hours are 1.66 times more likely to suffer from depression and 1.7 times for anxiety. And I would guess that if you're already prone to struggling with things like anxiety or depression, then your likelihood might be even higher. So the fact is, longer work hours has a negative impact on your mental health. And when asked what aspects of their life had suffered the most due to poor work-life balance, 48% reported their family relationships suffered, and 47% reported that their relationships with friends suffered. So it should be obvious, but the more hours that you work, the less time you have for those important relationships in your life, such as your friends and your family, and those relationships are going to suffer as a result. And 30% of small business owners report working more than 50 hours per week. Nearly 20% report working 60 hours or more, and almost 80% report feeling like they work too much. And the reason in this case is because those complex creative tasks that they have that they feel only they can handle. This can be something that is specific to entrepreneurs and small business owners, but that struggle with feeling as though you can delegate your tasks. And when a writer interviewed more than 300 entrepreneurs, Olympians, and straight-A students, he found one of the key things they had in common was their prioritization of sleep, relaxation, and taking breaks. So this research even supports that when you take more time for sleep, taking breaks, and relaxation, you can perform better. And it's demonstrated by the fact that these were Olympians, straight-A students, and entrepreneurs who are performing well. And another slew of recent studies have also linked working too much with everything from depression and sleep disorders to heavy drinking, diabetes, memory loss, and heart disease. So I'm gonna link the articles that I referenced and got this information from in the description and in the show notes, but I want to share these just to demonstrate that, it may be obvious that working more isn't always the greatest thing. However, there can often be so much pressure to continue working more, whether that is from external sources and from the culture in your workplace, or expectations from your boss or clients or supervisors or coworkers, or whether it's from internal pressure from yourself because of fear of not working or not making money or not being successful, or maybe of being viewed as being lazy. All of this pressure can make it so hard to actually set these boundaries. And sometimes it can be really valuable to understand what the actual consequences are on your mental health, on your physical health, on your relationships, on your productivity, on your overall mood, and on so much more if you're not creating time for more balance in your life. And so this isn't just me telling you that balance is a great thing, but this is supported by studies and interviews and research that not having balance is actually negatively impacting your life. Another thing that can happen when you don't have work-life balance is what's called revenge bedtime procrastination. So I recently learned about this and I've caught myself doing it a lot. And it basically refers to a phenomenon in which people put off going to bed to engage in activities that they don't have time for during the day. So let's say if you're not taking time for breaks, or if you have a really long work day and then you find yourself wanting to stay up late to watch your favorite TV show or to do something that you enjoy, then that's an example of that revenge bedtime procrastination, because the time that you don't have for yourself during the day, you're taking it at night, but then that's eating into your sleep and that's negatively impacting your energy levels and how productive and motivated you feel the next day. And so if you're able to spend more time prioritizing balance, then that can even out some of these costs that come from working more and help you to be more productive without burning yourself out, and while working less hours. Like I said before, you fear that working less is going to result in a decrease in income, maybe getting less work done, negative feedback from supervisors, coworkers, or clients. And so you put it off because it feels scarier not to do so. But study after study demonstrates the opposite effect. Your personal life will improve from having increased balance, in addition to your productivity, mental health, physical health, and more. So trust me, I know that taking the leap to having more balance in your life can be scary, because I've totally been there. In my job that I had before I went into private practice and became self-employed, I reached a point of burnout. It was impacting my mental health negatively. I was experiencing more stress and anxiety and irritability and resentment, and it was crowding into my personal life. And, I didn't make the change until I reached a breaking point, essentially, and until my body and my mind were telling me this is too much to handle. And I don't want that to happen for you. So what can be really valuable is to recognize what are your personal signs of burnout and what can you do to prevent yourself from getting in this place. When we talk about starting with a balance, the one thing that's so important to recognize and that you need to know in order to truly have a balanced life might seem counterintuitive, but it's that perfect balance is impossible. And that balance looks different for everybody. It even looks different every day, every week, every month for the same person, because it's constantly fluctuating. And it's not about having this perfect structure or this dream schedule or this dream life or routine, but it's about finding what works best for you in this moment and what you need most. If you have a week where you need to work more, then can you follow that up with a work of more relaxation or a day off? And even if it's in your personal life, if you're socializing a lot and you need to take some time off, can you follow that up with some rest and time to take care of things at home or just take some time for yourself? And like I said, it's going to depend and be different for everybody. And so I have a few different examples to help you understand that. And I want you to focus on taking one small step and doing what feels right for you and seeing it as a practice. This is not about being perfect, and it's not about having this picturesque social media life of having a perfect morning routine and taking these intentional breaks. And that is an excellent goal, and that's great. But life is not always going to look like that, and that's okay. Some examples of taking those small baby steps towards creating more balance might be, if you never take lunch, maybe creating balance starts with scheduling out a 20 to 30 minute lunch break for yourself during the day, stepping away from your desk and actually eating and enjoying your lunch. Or another example might be if you never have time to exercise because you start your days early and end your days late, maybe one week you might start with starting late work a little bit later and taking 2 to 3 days for exercise and seeing what impact that has on your mental, physical, and emotional health. Another example might be if you constantly sacrifice sleep to work and never sleep enough, maybe you just want to start with getting more sleep. Maybe you want to shut the TV off at a certain time and, get into bed and make sure that you're getting at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. If that seems like too much right now, start gradually working your way up to it. And if you barely have time to spend with your partner and working a lot is interfering with your relationship, then schedule some intentional quality time with your partner one evening a week. Identify what improved balance in caring for yourself and your relationships looks like for you and start taking small baby steps in that direction. I want to emphasize it's all about finding what works best for you, not some ideal of what work-life balance should look like, because that does not exist. Balance is all about burnout prevention, not sacrificing your needs or your relationships so that you can work harder, do more, be more successful, etc. So oftentimes our relationships, our loved ones, and making time for ourselves are the things that make life enjoyable and make life worth living. And you can't do anything if you're not taking care of yourself first, especially if it's having an impact on your physical and emotional health when you're overworking. So if you're interested in learning practical tips for how to be more productive without burning out, I have an entire free guide on this. It is my productivity guide with intentional steps that you can take to help you be more focused throughout your day. So then you can work and be more intentional, and at the end of the day work less because you're doing less distracted work. You can find this by going to calmlycoping.com/productive. And if this topic interests you, I love to continue the conversation. If you go to my free Facebook community, Calmly Coping, for high achievers struggling with high functioning anxiety, I'm going to be sharing some personal tips on how I intentionally create balance in my life. And I'd love to hear your tips as well and your thoughts on this topic. You can join now by going to calmlycoping.com/group. And while you wait for next week's episode, I have other episodes about decreasing anxiety, adopting a healthy mindset, and managing your time and energy. So make sure that you subscribe and check out these episodes here. Thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, be calm.